Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have two guests on my channel today. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little about you.
All right. Well, I'm Jenny McLean Miller.
I am Greg Miller. We're the Millers.
We're the Millers. We're authors and we're married.
Okay. And Jenny, what is your genre and what attracted you to that genre?
I love that question. So our genre is young adult fantasy. And young adult was something I was working back in Los Angeles on scripted TV series, and I was working on a scripted drama that was very much like CW and a young adult demographic. So Age of Etheria actually started as a television series pitch and has adapted into a novel series first. So this is book one. And it was my wheelhouse and my genre with entertainment and screenplays. So it just felt right and natural to carry over into this project and to start something with the young adult market. I love it. It's cinematic pacing. It moves quickly. And we definitely write very cinematically coming from the industry. So it just felt like the perfect genre.
Okay. Greg, what do you think are the most important elements of good writing?
I love that.
Ooh, the most important elements of good writing. I think number one is to be free and not judge your own thoughts and creativity. I think the one thing that Jenny and I have a great, relationship with is the fact that we let our mind be free and really go to places that may sound crazy as we're talking about them, but we never limit our thoughts or judge them. We let them flow, and there's a lot of things in our story, a lot of plot lines that have come from a lot of those free flowing thoughts. So I think really to let the guards down and let it fly.
Okay. What comes first, plot or characters? Either one of you can answer.
Ooh, for me personally, characters. I got to know who we're working with, who is going to be carrying the story. The first two characters that came to me, it was actually the hawk, which has a lot of symbolism in the book. He's actually even on the cover. And Addie, our main character. So I knew that I wanted to create a new project, and I knew I wanted to focus on a female hero and being the own superhero in her life. And so I guess simultaneously I knew like what I wanted her to be doing, but I knew I wanted it to be a female main character. And yeah, so characters for
Yeah,
me.
I think that
I feel like characters for you too.
yeah, I feel definitely when you have the strong character, you can build the plot around around the character. So I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you develop your plot and characters?
A lot of different segments of like plot work. So we call it the soul work. And we do a ton of research first. And basically, Greg and I, we sit down, we talk about our characters, we talk about what they're doing, we talk about like their why, where we see them going in the entire story. We like to think about the entirety of the book, from the beginning to the climax to the end. And so um for us, we do a lot of research, and then we do our soul work, which is really like molding the clay, and we get to be messy with it and we get to rework it if we need to. But we start talking about how we see the story going and what our characters are doing. And then we'll put them all down on note cards. Basically, each of the chapters, we kind of go scene by scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put it on a huge bulletin board. And it's a easier way for us to kind of just be movable with our thoughts. We're like, you know what, this is a really great scene, but maybe this works better over here. So we kind of just rework it that way, and we keep the bulletin up, and then we divide the characters. Essentially, he's definitely more of like the gritty and like the rough and tough, like the Raiders of the Rebellion and the Chancellor. Do you want to name your
Yeah,
characters?
the Battalion. I mean, and she's more of the ethereal parts of the story, and the softer, more magical parts. I have some sprinkles in the magic, but
Yes.
Okay.
more her.
Yeah. And then we get to the pages and we start working. We know what's happening in each of the scenes, in each of the chapters, but then he puts his magic, I put my magic, and then we have a fabulous editor who really just makes sure we're like very cohesive and that it feels like you're reading one book from two authors, not two different stories, in the same.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, you say your main character is Addie. Tell us about Addie and all the other characters, secondary characters.
Sounds good. Addie, to me, she embodies hope. She embodies I'm just trying to think of like the best way, like my elevator pitch of Addie, because she's so much to me. She's a young woman who essentially goes through a breakdown of self, and she is existing within the Citadel walls, which is a very dystopian post-apocalyptic type setting, and she's just merely existing, and she knows she has a yearning for more, and she knows that there has to be more life outside of the walls. So she has that fire within, and she travels through the Citadel looking in forgotten rooms, and she just wants to know more of the past. The new governments and societies, they're really being led with an iron fist, and they don't have an opportunity to really learn of the old world, which is our current world today. A lot of history has been lost, and she wants to know why, and she asks questions. And when she's essentially taken from the Citadel and goes on her journey to Etheria, she's learning of her own superpowers that she has, which are prophetic gifts from the Council of Light. She's learning so much about herself, and it's so cool because I don't even think she realizes that she's learning so much about herself until it's actually right before her. And she meets another anointed individual in Etheria, and his name is Atriel. He's one of my favorite characters. Him and Egan got a little bit of a love triangle going on. Egan, do you want to share about Egan?
Well, yeah, Egan is he is very much courageous. He's about valor and bravery. He is honorable. He is really lives in truth, and he's just a man that is strong, that is smart. He is very, very smart, especially when it comes to tactics and strategy, when it comes to warfare, because his father was the captain of the army when he was a kid of the Republic. So he was bred up in that, and there's a part in the story. Oh, I guess won't go into about his father, but yeah. So he's very much in truth and integrity. The sun is really bright. So yeah, that's really him. He loves hard. He fights hard. Yeah. So that's.
And Addie and Egan, they are each other's like childhood best friends essentially, and then it turns into something more. So they have this history and this love for each other that goes so deep and so far. So I think it's a really exciting part of the story when we meet another character, Atriel. And then we've got Etherians that are so fantastic. They're 800 years old. Etheria is a hidden realm within Earth.
Yeah, time is different in Etheria.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, okay, you told us something about the book, but tell us about the book and briefly describe it for us.
All right. So it's set in the future destruction of our present day world. It's after a great war that humanity goes through globally here on Earth. And it's set in the future, a couple hundred years, and there's resource scarcity. There was nuclear warfare, technology is lost, transportation is like nil and void. They have to figure out new modes of transportation. So we've created a very post-apocalyptic dystopian world and society. And our take is that governments and societies had an opportunity to build back better, and they didn't take that opportunity. They built back even worse, more tyrannical, with more dictatorship. And so that's the setting. And then when they rebuilt the citadels, which are essentially cities that are surrounded by walls, there were rebels who didn't want to live under that law anymore. They were like, this is wrong. We have the opportunity to go and rebuild, let's do it. But what ended up happening with them, they kind of went out into the wasteland and they became the rebels. And there's a part in the story where they discuss those who were deformed and sick, essentially from the nuclear fallout. They were pushed out of the Citadel as well. So we've really set up a world that for us has a lot of deep meaning, because we feel we feel humanity's on a trajectory that it could be at one point irreversible. And the way that humanity treats one another, like for us, it's about unity and love, compassion, empathy. So we wanted to thread that throughout, where we're highlighting all of these issues that we're facing today and what that future could potentially look like. And then
I would say,
yeah,
and behind that all, behind this whole nuclear fallout and Great War is this dark force that we call the Ehrlich Federation that has kind of been it's trapped in this gateway that has been coercing and kind of pulling the strings of mankind through manipulation and corrupting the consciousness of mankind. So we use that dark power, that dark energy, as kind of the force that has done all this and manipulated mankind to be so destructive. So as this gateway is about to unlock, so the story is
as their power grows,
there's the anointed ones. I guess the Etherians have stepped into to mankind to help guide it from its destruction and prepare these anointed ones for this great battle that's about to take hold on Earth between the light and the darkness.
And humanity doesn't know what's coming. That's the thing too. It's kind of the spiritual side of things. It's this huge spiritual warfare that they don't even know is coming. They're so focused, they're laser focused on their own, greed and power and so on and so forth on Earth, that yeah, they have no idea what's coming.
Did you have to do any research, and if so, elaborate?
A ton. There's a lot of philosophical, mythological, our own experiences that we wanted to thread through there. There's allegory, there's all kinds of things, like little hidden messages that we've placed into the story, that our goal for our readers, that they can pick up on it if they want to, or they can kind of breeze through and just enjoy it, the story for what it is. But we
symbolism,
a lot of symbolism
from I mean, spirituality, whether it's chakras. I mean, there's some religious hints in there. There's a lot of different we kind of hit a wide spectrum of different touches in terms of the spirituality, the religious hints and whatnot. So there's a lot of symbolism behind some of our characters, some of the plot lines. So
what is your writing process like?
Our writing process, yeah, it's lengthy and it's long. Like, when back to the research part too, I mean, we'll both be at our computers and we'll be needing to think of a character name, and we go to that like philosophical route or mythological route, and we're like, okay, let's, what could this name have meaning behind? Like, that's a big thing with our writing process. We love to have meaning. Like, we want our readers, when they're going through the book, that they set it down and they start thinking a little more, like, what did they mean by that? And what does that mean? Let me go to the computer and do a little research and, maybe see where that takes them. And we really hope that it stokes that internal fire that we all have, and that we seek more knowledge, that we seek to understand, that we seek to empathize. And, I feel like we've done a decent job with this, where we're able to evoke that through the characters and through their stories, so that our readers are like, I wonder why Addie made that decision, or I wonder why Ito did this, or Terry did that. And, it's all for a collective reasoning. So yeah, we're excited about like that part of the process.
Oh, wow. Where do you get your inspiration from when you wrote this book?
Sure. So, well, I've been working on this project for 8 years. Greg's been working on it for 5. I know. I love you.
Okay.
Yes, almost a decade. We're in it. I was working in scripted TV before. I was developing pitch packages and different scripts, comedy series, a drama series. And I ended up going up north to a town called Little River, California, with just my dog and I. I needed to get out of the city. I was going through a really, really just tough time in my own life. And that was a moment where I felt, going back to Addie needing to be her own superhero. That's all I knew. I wanted to create a story about a girl who needed to become her own superhero, to break down, to rebuild into her best self. And I was sitting on the beach with my dog Skylar, and I noticed a hawk flying above. And he caught my attention, and he was so beautiful and just effortless. And I just watched him for a little bit. Skylar and I both did. And then Didn't really think too much of it, but just took in that moment. And a couple days later, we were up north, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and we were on a different beach. And I was sitting with Skylar again, overlooking the ocean. And the hawk flew over me again. And I was like, okay, I'm listening, I'm watching. Let me go back to the cottage and figure out what this means. So I looked up the symbolism of a hawk when you see them in your life. And it meant new beginnings, taking flight, trusting in the timing of your life, that it might not always be in your hands, but a higher power. And to me, I was like, the hawk has to be in this story. So I started there, and I kid you not, I get back to Los Angeles. I ended up staying 2 weeks up there. I got back to Los Angeles, and I'm sitting on my front garden patio, and I get my laptop out, and I'm in the middle of West Hollywood is where I lived. And a hawk flies in and lands on the gate and just looks at me, stares at me for a moment, and then takes off. And I have no idea where he went. And I was like, why is there a hawk in the middle of West Hollywood? And it was like, again, like, I'm listening, you're coming in, and you're going to be a huge like symbolism and part of the story. So from there, it just really inspired kind of a spiritual story, but then also, like I said, I wanted to connect it to environmental, societal, political, just different parallels that our world is facing, and create a story like how can we unify and how can we be better to each other, because it's all about the collective, and I want that to be like the main message. So that's where my inspiration came from. And then Greg came onto the story. Where's your inspiration from, babe?
That's a good question. My inspiration, I guess, comes from a certain breaking down and rebuilding myself. I originally got drafted and played professional baseball in the minor leagues, had an elbow injury, had to kind of recreate myself and figure out who I was without baseball. So kind of my whole identity was stripped. I also went through a dark path with some other things, abusing some substances. So I had to, really navigate that and figure out, how I was going to, get up and better myself each day. And through that process, through that rebuild, there's, you have the light and the dark. You got the two different. Every level is a new devil. As you're getting better and better and better within yourself. So as that light and dark battle was happening, I realized when she told me about the story that I felt like I had lived through that battle of light versus dark. So when I originally traveled across the country to California, I wanted to go out there and inspire others, and almost like get my story out there and let the world know like how to be a better you, and that you can overcome any obstacle. Being awake, being alive it means that you have potential, and there is an infinite possibility for you to do whatever you want and achieve whatever you want in this life.
Amen.
So that's what
Amen.
I wanted to do, and that's how I ended up getting out to California and ultimately meeting this beautiful woman.
Oh wow. Whee! Jenny, can you read an excerpt from the book, please?
Ooh.
I would love to. So this is probably one of my favorite chapters, and I'll read it first, and then I'll share my feeling on it, if I may, after. It is entitled Dusk. The air is still and calm. Salt from the sea rises to the cliffs, where Shiloh and Skylar bask in the late sun. The rocky hillside slopes into the sandy beaches. The waves are far below, lapping near the lower islands, but the wolves can hear every crashing wave. A pod of dolphins, glowing blue, crest the water. The Arclight's ears are cocked and ready, listening. Voices dance on the wind, and laughter. The sound of horses' hooves on the wet sand. From the palace path come Atriel and Addie at a gallop. Her hair streams like a whipping pennant behind her. The wolves stand and watch the horses, and then they run. Along the cliffside and rushing past the trees, finally down the steep bluff and onto the beach, nearly parallel to the horses now, the pads of their paws so silent on the sand. They watch the anointed ones for every flicker of movement, every shift of the reins and tilt of the head. They anticipate the next move as Atriel and Addie cut onto the forest trail and back toward the heartland. The horses' hooves strike hard on the leaf-strewn dirt. Still, the wolves run. And when they reach the clearing where the trees part, where the setting sun burns orange on the western sky, they hang back among the boughs. They watch the orchestrated movements, how Atriel dismounts first and helps Addie down, how together they tie the horses to a low-hanging branch. Shiloh peers closely through the leaves as Atriel's hand moves to Addie's hip. Shiloh knows what Addie knows, that no one has ever touched her this way except Egan. who brushed his fingers against hers for the first time when they were just 13. They were exploring a forgotten room in the darkness. One minute he was shuffling through boxes, the next his hand was there. They were best friends, lecture mates, tethered by a mutual love for Egan's father, and then suddenly, with one move from Egan, they were more. And Shiloh knows that Addie is trembling because she can feel the shiver along her fur. But there's also this sense of competing feelings, the beauty of the sky, so orange and red at dusk, and the way the floating lights shimmer in the trees, and the way he is looking at her, so tenderly, not at all with the strong and stable gaze that Egan used to give. His look is with something so much softer, like a question. The wolves watch as he kisses her for the first time, and she kisses him back, gently. And then the arc lights turn to leave. They pad back through the woods, darkening now, back to the cliffside where they will sleep, watch, and wait.
Wow. Yeah. What is the key message you want people to know in this book?
The key message, our book is to inspire and help heal the heart of humanity. It's been really tough. As you know now, it's been 8 years in the making for me. It's a really scary thing when there's so much pain that this society goes through and deals with, and so much of it parallels our world today. And I want it to be a message. I know I'm speaking for both of us, but I want it to be a message of hope and inspiration, and just a way that we can fictionalize a world in which we can become better to one another, where we can understand one another and have that empathy and that compassion and that love. And that Etheria is actually not such a far off place. Etheria is here, it's in the heart. And it's also a place that we've magically realized into the book that, to me, it's how we were meant to live. We were meant to live together, unified and with love, and to just seek more knowledge universally. So that's what it is to me.
I would, I mean, totally agree. Obviously, we talk about this very often, and
Yeah.
I think, as a collective, it's up to us individually to help make this a better place. We're obviously being parents and having two little children. You always want to leave the world a better place than when you came into it. And the best way that we can be better and help the collective is through our own individual interactions with other people, and be kind, make kind gestures, uplift people. We should be, right now we're at a point where we're so destructive as a society and as a people, that we need to start constructing, right, and start building each other up, so that we can help elevate and get out of this before we do have a potential apocalyptic outcome.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
You say you wanted to say something after you finish reading your excerpt?
Yeah. So dusk, to me, such a turning point in the story. And what I love about this chapter, and actually the chapter that follows, the chapter that follows is only one line, but there's no dialogue, and there's so much being said. There's so much happening in that page and a half, where we're learning about this new potential relationship that could be budding. And then I love this element of our story. Our arc lights, our messengers from the Council of Light and the Anointed Ones each have an arc light. And they can feel their thoughts. They can hear their thoughts. They can, that's why they're running through the forest alongside the horses, and they know which way they're going to go because they can communicate and hear. So, and Addie can also hear Shiloh's thoughts, and Atriel can hear Skylar's. So it's this really just beautiful symbiotic relationship that's happening with all of the anointedness and the spiritual, magical, whimsical side of things. And like I said, no dialogue, so much being said. So I love that chapter.
Okay. Who is the target audience, Greg?
The target audience is, really, we believe that it's a wide audience. Anyone who's, you could be 11, 12, 13 to, 19 or 25, 35, 45. It's really, we think there's a large target in this, but, the main, I guess the main demographic would be that 13 to 19, even to 25, I think, range.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a message for all ages though in there.
I love that.
Okay.
Definitely.
And that was my next question. What do you hope readers to take away from this book?
Do you want to take away?
Yeah, I can take it. Yeah, the hope is that they take away the belief in I think in the human spirit, and it's a driving force, and that will, right? There's the power of will, and I think that's kind of it's a huge part of the story, is just the power of will, and how choices have consequences, whether good or bad. And Addie has the choice to, it is her will be done. So she decides to step into this power ultimately, and make a whole paradigm shift on Earth. So I think that we all have the ability to have that power and make that shift in our own lives. And I think we just need to activate it and tap into that.
And to add to that, if I may, to divinely accept our destiny, what our purpose is here on earth, and to harness that and to find it. And if maybe that inner flame needs to be reignited in some of our readers. I've needed to reignite my own flame going through hard, difficult times. I know you have as well. And in hopes that our readers find that inspiration and feel ignited or reignited, and just go after their destiny divinely and align with that. When you're in true alignment with that, I feel as though that's when like life is just so magical. You're here living your purpose, what you were meant to do here on this time with your time here on earth. And again, just circling back to just full love, compassion, unity, empathy. Like I know I keep saying those words, but they're so important, and they're also so easy to attain.
Yeah.
It's just being a good person, right?
What is the significance of the title, Jenny?
Ooh. So, Age of Etheria. So, Etheria is the hidden realm here in our story that we've placed whimsically in Earth. And we wanted to have it symbolize that it's an entire era. And it's the age of Etheria. We're heading towards a new age in our series. We're heading towards a new Earth. We're heading towards that place that feels like home, what we feel our time here on Earth should feel like. And so it's the age of Etheria. This is book one of our series. We're anticipating 4 books, and we're really trying to take our readers across that age and how to get there. So we're hoping by the end of the series, it's like, wow, now we've got the blueprint. We know how to do this. Let's do it here at home. Let's do it in real life.
Yes. Greg, can you read an excerpt from the book, please?
Ooh. All right. Let's see what we got here. Is that yours? Oh, there it is. All right. This chapter is titled The Rebellion. The midday sun scorches the dry earth. The sand burns like coals. The scout runs heavy-footed and sweating, his body dark and ruddy. His feet know the way through the dunes. He knows this terrain like the lines on his own palm. The wasteland is desolate and gray, with its rain, shadow valleys, and flat, expansive salt pans. He avoids the spiny plants and even, once leaps over a snake he disrupts from sunbathing. Base camp is not far now. He can almost see the smoke in the distance. The rest of the retreating raiders are still miles behind him, smug with their victory and spoils. Some have likely brought back brides, tiny, frightened things. His own mother had been a war bride. All through the battle, he'd been waiting in the dunes, watching for the citadel to burn gold in the night. And burn it did. But there was something else, too. Something he must tell Dokoron and his mage, Aureus. Some dark, hulking thing that rose above the city and swept into the night. The boy's chest tightens, and he fears he might vomit bile. He needs water, and soon. He drained his last pack about 10 miles ago. He is tall but young, not yet 13. He has been raised for this, been trained to run. The camp takes shape at last. Beach boats and tarp tents encircle what was once a small reservoir. He's told the boats used to coast on bodies of water, but he has never understood that term. He has only imagined human bodies covered in rainwater, but even the rain is scarce. The raiders keep buckets out at all times to catch any dew or rain. There's a wooden dock, rotted and uneven, where hunters slaughter and skin their kill. There is a pile of scrap metal torn from old world angler shacks, where their blacksmiths now carve weapons from waste. To the south, among the crags, are some of the rebellion's docked airships, scavenged from the Republic or rebuilt from crashes. The sails whip black in the wind. There, too, at the center of the tents, wearing his longhorn skull dipped in blood, is Dokoron, the rebellion leader. Even from yards away, the boy can see the raven eye branded on Dokuran's chest. The eyes watch him as he approaches. As the men part, some clanging their weapons, some chanting, "Who?" in welcome. He collapses at Dokuran's boots, dark with years of stained blood. "What did you see, boy?" Dokuran's voice is deep, like a crater in the earth. He towers like the rare desert tree. A woman kneels beside him and offers a clay carafe of water, but he can barely move to take it. His mouth foams and his eyes blur. He can only manage to say, "It's done. Fire." He begins to cough. Dokuran runs his war axe along the side of the boy's face to redirect his eye line back to him. Through ragged breaths, the boy musters, "So much fire, and there's something else."
Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ta-da.
Tell us about the process of the cover, the book cover.
Ooh, this was a fun one. So we knew that we wanted to put the hawk on the cover, and there's a lot of symbolism, believe it or not, in the cover as well. Within the hawk's heart space is actually the palace of Etheria. And we wanted to kind of create that contrast of light versus dark. So we knew that we wanted to do a black cover and the spine and then the back. And we wanted the hawk to be kind of piercing through that as the embodiment of light. And then, as I said, like in his heart space, really just carrying that love of Etheria and where they're headed to, because he is a messenger and he is here to start the series and start this book in particular. I think he's like in the first, he's in the first second paragraph. Yeah, I mean, he's like right in the beginning. He is a huge character. So, and then we also have I don't know if you can see, there's a lot of beautiful just kind of glimmers of like stardust. We talk a lot about the stars in here. We talk a lot about just space and the universe. And so we wanted to really make sure we captured that as well. So this could also emulate the night sky.
Okay. How do you feel about reviews, whether they're good or bad?
Well, we're open to it. Here's the thing. It's like anything. One of my favorite quotes, it's like, a sunflower doesn't judge a rose and a rose doesn't judge a sunflower. They both grow and, they take in the sun and they take in the water and they're from the same dirt. So, I think we hope our message is well received collectively, and we hope that our readers can see that inspiration and to see just our truth and why we created this story, and to enjoy the adventure and enjoy the journey. But of course, we're open to it. We know it's a reflection of their own journey and a reflection of their perception. So far so good. We've been getting some really great reviews and from people we don't know, so it's really, really awesome to hear unbiasedly, like, instead of family and friends, like, "Oh yeah, it's great." It's like hearing from a complete stranger that they love it.
Yeah.
Makes us feel so good.
Yeah, I don't think we see it as so much as positive or negative as much as we do as just overall feedback. Because it is their experience, their journey with the book, so they're entitled to feel how they feel, whether it made them feel uplifted and great, or they were like, it was all right, it was kind of boring for me, but
yeah, and it could be a reflection of just kind of like where where they're at, that some of this stuff could feel maybe a little like, I don't understand, or like, why, but that's the goal, to seek that knowledge and to just dig a little deeper.
Okay. What is magical realism?
Magical realism, so our book is set on Earth, but you have the opportunity to tie in some magic that you're still set in reality, but you can thread in magic that actually isn't here in our world, but maybe it is. So for us, Etheria is that like huge scope of magical realism. Like, we're here on Earth, but we're going to a completely new realm that still is here in our story. So keeping it real, keeping it set in reality with magic threaded in.
Okay. What are you currently working on right now?
Book 2. Book 2. We're working on it. We are going to a whole new region. We are growing our ensemble cast. They're coming with us. Some. And we're going to be meeting new anointed individuals from their region of the world. And we're just going to keep on traveling. So we're working on book 2 right now.
Yeah, we're excited.
Okay, you can tell us anything about book 2?
Oh,
Anything?
I would say the stakes are much bigger in book
Yeah.
two. The gateway is close to unlocking and unleashing this dark force, and hopefully we can gather these other anointed ones to join, or else that battle's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah. And we go to a place that is so cool. We leave the wasteland behind. We're going, can I say it?
Yeah, drop it in there.
We're going to the jungle, and it is so cool. I love the region, and I think it's just another way to honor just like more of humanity. And yeah, I'm super excited. We go to like some other spiritual places, and but it's cool because our cast is coming with us. We're just growing the cast and we're expanding the world.
Yes, we're going to what's called, which is in the
Wait, you're gonna say it?
Oh no.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
come on.
Yes. Okay. Ready?
What?
We'll do it on three.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
The
The Unfallen Kingdom.
Okay, I like. Okay, how can readers find you and your books?
Awesome. The nexus of our world is www.ageofitheria.com. That's where you can find places that the book is available. We like to link our distributors and our retailers. We're available at Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, Amazon. We just went live in New Zealand, Australia, Great Britain, Canada, Denmark. So like Dymox Books has us, Saxo. But yeah, ageofitheria.com, you can click through, and you can also purchase through our website. And we've made it very personalized. It's a personalized copy. You get a crystal and a crystal card and a bookmark. And it comes, from us. And then we also have really fun pieces of press or like events that are upcoming, and then social media and Goodreads. We're officially on Goodreads, and we're so excited. We'd love to just expand that platform and reach more readers. So all of that can be found at ageofitheria.com. On social media, I'm Jenny McLean Miller.
Gregory John Miller.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Of course,
Yeah, thank you
Queenie,
so
you're
much for having us.
amazing. Yes.
Thank
you for
you.
having
Thank
us.
you. Thank you. All
Of
right.
course.
This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
Bye.